Okay, so where do we start? Okay, so this is Gord and June McGlynn, and Dad, why don't you tell us who your brothers and sisters were?
My brothers and sisters.
I'm trying to speak up a bit because I'm kind of far away.
There's Arnold, Edwin, Jean, Florine, Al, myself, and Doll.
Raymond.
No,
Oh.
Howard, Raymond, and Cecil.
So how many is that?
That's 7.
7 brothers and
That's
3
two
two
sisters.
sisters.
Well, yeah, we got Florine and Doll. Yeah,
That's 9 altogether.
9 altogether. Yeah.
But weren't there some that died when they were young?
There was
One died?
One died at birth, I think. Yeah,
So there was 10 altogether,
yeah.
and they were all born on Wolf Island.
Yep.
And your father came from
Wolf
where?
Island.
He was born on Wolf Island?
Yep.
What about his father? Where was he born?
I don't know where he was born.
Ireland.
Ireland? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they all came over from Ireland. And your mother was born on Wolf Island?
And her parents were from where?
They were French, so
French.
Their name was Boisvert.
From where? Where? Like France French or
Oh.
Quebec French or?
I don't know, Gordy.
His mother's name was Sarah Mildred, but they called her Layla. And his father's name was Daniel, what? Daniel Patrick? I don't remember, Daniel something. Anyway,
You don't remember ever hearing them talk about their parents or anything like that?
No.
I remember hearing something about them because Gord's grandfather used to drive the mail horse and buggy mail delivery up through where Ottawa or somewhere, Perth area.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Well, yes, you do. Yeah, and then now one of the younger Greenwood boys still does it.
Oh yeah, Bart,
No,
Tommy.
Tommy Greenwood. He still does the same thing that his great grandfather did.
So you don't know why they came over or when they came over from
No,
Ireland
no,
or
no
anything like
idea.
that?
No.
Hmm.
No, we don't.
Okay. Mom. So your family was, your sister was Jean?
Oh, you're talking
Yeah,
about
your family now.
my sister's Jean, Audrey. Only one I have, no brothers. My mother was William. My mother's maiden name was Hambleton. Her name was Amy Blanche Hambleton, and she married my father. And his name was William Leslie Curran. And my mother was from England, and she came from England in 1927, I believe it was. Yeah, 1927.
So she had brothers and sisters?
Yes. She had, the only ones I ever knew were Bob and Bill.
And they were born in England too?
Yes.
But weren't there a bunch of them?
Pardon?
Weren't there a bunch of other
Well, there were
brothers and sisters?
I never knew them. There was a Blanche too, but I don't know who the others were.
How many were there?
I think there was 5.
And they were split up?
Yes, when their parents died during the war.
This is the First World War?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Pardon?
First World War?
First World War.
Well,
yeah.
how did they die?
I have no idea. He was a candy maker, and I think he died of alcoholism. Because that's the story I heard, that he couldn't get candy, or couldn't get sugar during the war to make candy, and he pretty well lost his business, and I don't know what happened to my grandmother.
She died after that? She died after
I
he did?
really don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And they lived in London? London?
Yeah, lived outside of London. And then my Uncle Billy, he came over as a Bernardo boy. And he lived with the Sprys in Bowmanville.
And what's a
Worked on the
what's a
farm.
Bernardo boy?
Pardon?
What's a Bernardo boy? What does that mean?
Bernardo boy was an orphan child brought over to work on the farms in Canada by Dr. Bernardo. And otherwise these kids would have been just left on the streets. So he lived with the Sprys, and then it ended up.
How did he meet the Sprys?
That's a good question. I think he was
Well, he worked
placed
on the
there.
farm,
I think they used to place them with farmers who needed help,
Yeah.
and he was lucky enough to be on a farm that they took him in. He was only 12. They took him in and raised him like one of their own. But he
So
had,
which Spry was this?
this would be, actually it wasn't Surprise, it was Alma's mother.
Oh, okay.
It was, what's her name? Oh dear. He was raised by the Oakes family. And Alma Oakes married Frank Spry.
Right.
And my sister married Frank's
Son.
Spry's son,
Glenn.
Glenn. Norman Glenn. And Uncle Bob came over because, oh, no, my mother came over next because,
So Bob came over first.
no, Bill came over.
Bill came over first.
And then Mother came over because she got a job as a nanny for this colonel over at RMC. So she and her girlfriend came over to be nannies at RMC. So that's when she met my father. And then Uncle Bob got lonesome.
Yeah, he was working at RMC?
My father, no.
Oh.
No, he wasn't. I don't know where he was working.
Well, he worked there later though, didn't he?
He did later, yeah. He did later on in life. But then Uncle Bob got lonesome for the two of them, so he didn't have any money to come here, so he joined the Merchant Navy. And then he got as far as Rochester, New York, and then he jumped ship.
Hmm.
And then he lived there for well, probably 20 years before he finally got up the nerve to go down to the Immigration Authority and tell them what he'd done. And they said, oh, that's all right. Just give us $1. And that's it. That was the end of that. And he became an American citizen.
So Grandma Amy went from Britain to Canada or to the U.S.?
She
To
landed
Canada.
around Montreal.
I thought she went to the States first and then
No,
to Canada.
no,
Okay,
she
so
came here, met my father, and then they went to the States.
why did they go to the States?
Because that's where Uncle Billy was living by that time.
Oh.
He had married Aunt Retta, and they moved to Rochester.
Yeah.
And so then my mother and father moved there, and I was born there. And so was my sister.
In Rochester.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then we came back here in 1944 because my father wanted to move back to Canada.
Do you remember your mother or uncles talking about England at all?
No, it was pretty much the war. My mother used to say how frightening it was in the war, but not a whole lot.
What was frightening?
The bombs, and the noise, and the...
This is the First World War,
Yeah.
right? And this is England. Hello.
Will couldn't stand on.
God, that poor guy. What are you doing?
We're just doing a little.
Videotaping our family life here. She picks a good day. One day I haven't even done my hair.
Hello.
I'm in my house. Just
Doesn't matter.
videotape all
What do you want?
things in the house.
Jeez, he got there.
I ate one of the chocolates.
Oh my God! Look how tall she is.
Nice hair. I like your
I've been
hair.
bringing this butter for over an hour.
Is that a new jacket?
Nobody's come.
That's my
The
jacket.
light wasn't on.
No,
Alright.
We're in his room.
We're gonna.
This is
Yeah, we're gonna trade it.
It doesn't
We're
work.
gonna trade jackets.
Both of your jackets? So I went down and I
No,
told
no
the
one's
girl.
in the
You like my camera?
She's
Yeah.
probably down in a minute. I said, he needs
Cool.
something.
Can I?
It's digital.
Can I see it for a sec?
See?
Well, nobody came.
Are you actually
And then I went
recording?
down again.
Yep.
Whoops.
And he,
Can I like?
she goes, oh, and
Can I
I
see
said,
it?
I'm doing with the kids here because they'll talk.
I'm interviewing Grandma, so be quiet. Okay, go ahead.
My father was born in Kingston, but his mother had married John Timothy Kern, who was a native Algonquin Indian.
Jackie, shh.
And so, nothing was ever said for a long time because we knew we were Indian, but we never did anything about it until the last 20 years? 11 years. And then we started researching our family and have formed a group that consists of over 500 people that are all in some way or other, their lives are connected either by one Indian or another, because
Hey, shh. Take it in the other room.
my great-grandmother had brothers and sisters, so a lot of them are related to her brothers and sisters. So there's over 560 some people in our group called the Algonquins of Ardagh. And the children, my grandchildren now, are very interested, and they like to dance, do the native dancing, and they're interested in researching. Jordan would love to be a native drummer. Now, whether he will or not, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say.
Dad, you were in the Army?
Yep,
What year did you start in the Army?
Got it.
1940
1940.
till 45.
Sorry.
Quiet. So where were you stationed?
Well, I was stationed here in Kingston, and I was stationed in
You Petawawa or something, right?
Huntington, Quebec.
Yeah.
Huntington, Quebec. No, I was never in Petawawa. No, it's just Huntington, Quebec, and back here.
For how many years?
4 years. 4.
From what? Starting when?
41, I think it was 1940 to 45, it would be 5 years.
And you were a private?
Yeah, I was in the military police.
Doing what?
Well, as a police, that's all.
Where were you?
Pardon?
Is this where when you were at Fort Henry?
No, at Barfield.
Bearfield. Weren't you at Fort Henry at some point?
No,
Oh, I thought, or maybe you were just talking about that.
no, I was talking about working there after the war.
What was happening?
Well,
Yeah.
that's when I was painting the roof at the port,
Oh,
fell off the roof.
um, weren't you involved in going into like Quebec and getting these draft dodgers and things? Wasn't that
Yes,
part of
I
your?
used to do a lot of escorting.
Yeah.
Escorting during the war, to going down in Montreal, Toronto, and escorting prisoners back around on the POW.
Hmm. I thought you said that you as a military police, you were at Fort Henry, and that you were.
No,
No.
no.
Hmm.
The only time we had something to do with that was when the German prisoners escaped from Fort Henry,
Yeah.
and we caught one. We caught one German prisoner that was.
Yeah. What else?
what did you do when you caught him?
We took him into the guardhouse at the Barfield. Yeah. That was funny that morning. A fireman was coming in from fishing. And he seen these guys out on the beach at the Fort Henry. Eh? They escaped through a tunnel, and he notified police. You know,
How many escaped?
I forget how many. There was a I don't know how many made it out. Because a lot of them couldn't get through it. You know, the tunnel was so narrow that just a few of them couldn't get out. But they ended up in Vancouver and the States. They got away too. Most of them did. They scattered through the country and in the States. Eh?
So what about the boxing?
Oh, oh,
How long were you doing that?
well, I was doing it since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And we used to fight around parks and whatever have you, and picnics. And then when I joined the army, they heard about me doing boxing, so that's what I did during the war.
Where did you fight?
Oh, Montreal, Ottawa, Petawawa, and all of
Where was it in Kingston? If you fought here, where would you fight?
Fairfield. Well, most of it was at Fairfield, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, most of it was Fairfield.
And what was the highest that you got in the?
Well, I was runner up for the lightweight champion of Canada in 1944.
Yeah. It's just the
The Army.
Army lightweight champ.
Yeah.
Mom, come back here. Candy, you have any questions?
When did you start your painting business?
Let me see.
1953 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 53. Yeah, that's right too. Yeah, 1953.
What made you get into it?
Well, I was working for other painting contractors, and I just decided to win the business, take a chance. And
Your father was a painter, wasn't he?
pardon?
Your father was a
My
painter?
father was a painter, yeah, but no, I didn't follow in his footsteps really.
Wasn't he? Didn't he manage the hotel over there too? At the
He had he owned the Ellery Hotel in Wolf Island.
the what?
Ellery Hotel.
Ellery?
Ellery, yeah. And we lived there. That's where I was born.
Where's that?
Right in the village. 'Cause you know where the gas station, where the General Wolf Hotel is?
Yeah.
There's a gas station next door.
Yeah.
That's where the hotel was right there.
Oh.
And the day we moved.
So was General Wolf there at the same time?
Yeah, it was there then.
So they're side by side.
Yeah, well, no, there's a house in between.
Oh.
There's a house in between them. But that's where I was born.
Was that building still there, or is it?
No, it was torn down.
Yeah.
It was torn down, and a lot of the Mayor Wright was the mayor of the city. He was an engineer, and he was a builder. And he tore it down, the hotel in Wolf Island, or the Ellery Hotel, and he was building the Firestone garage up in Prince Street here.
Mm-hmm.
George was my father was in the trucking business, and he trucked the lumber from Wolf Island, from the hotel, the big beams, and a lot of the big beams were up in that Firestone place up in Princess Street, from the hotel, yeah. I don't think we lived there very long though, I'm not sure, because I was 9 years old when we moved over here,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived in there, I was born there. And
So
we
he
lived
was
up in-
he was just managing it.
Pardon?
He was just managing it. Is that what he was doing?
I don't,
He owned it?
I guess.
He owned it?
I guess he did. John Ellery was the one he bought it off. I don't know what arrangements we made, but it was just, I don't know.
How many brothers and sisters did Grandma or Grandma McGlynn have?
17. Had 17 kids in my mother's family. And my father's family, I think there was 9 or 10 too. Can you imagine living on a farm with 17 kids?
I can't even imagine doing the laundry for 17 kids.
Look at that Noble Staley, he had 17.
Be
I know.
never ending feeding, never ending washing.
Sit down.
I remember Vincent telling me there in the wintertime, the snow would be coming through the friggin' windows, and to get out of bed in the morning, you had to brush the snow off with the blankets, Can you imagine where they stuck in a small, well, just a average Not any bigger house than this here, on a farm.
Didn't you live on the west tip of the island too?
Well, yeah, well, that's Long Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the day we moved to Long Point, I was born, that day.
So the hotel was first, or which
No,
which
no.
came?
We lived in Long Point,
Oh,
and the day we moved into the hotel, I was born that day.
and that's the hotel that you set fire to.
Yeah, that's right.
You weren't very
No.
old then.
I don't know how,
Fire.
I couldn't have been very old, because maybe 2 or 3 years old or something like that, because I know we lived there, and we lived in 2 other places on the village. We lived on, just past the hotel, another place up by the other way.
And where does Jordan get these
Yeah.
things from?
You know, the sidewalk, the one in front of the hotel, wasn't, the building was about that far away.
Mm-hmm.
The hotel right along the sidewalk. The cotton curtains were up in smoke, and some guy was passing by, come in, and I was underneath the bed.
And you'd set the curtains on fire.
Yeah,
By accident.
yeah. That must have been awful then, I don't know.
I wonder how you did it, because they didn't have lighters in those days.
Probably rubbing sticks together.
Box of matches somewhere.
Oh yeah, those big wooden kitchen matches.
Okay, so how did you and Dad meet, or where did you meet?
The ball game.
What ball game?
McGaffin.
McGaffin Stadium.
So you had moved, Mom, you had moved to Kingston at this point,
Yeah.
Was
and
it
you're both just watching the game, or?
Well, I was working for the Kingston Ponies, so I
Yeah.
was with the Kingston Ponies,
And I was just watching the game.
yeah. That
And?
probably was in about
elaborate?
And what?
Did he come up to you and say, "Hi, good looking, what's cooking"?
I don't know what, I think the
forget.
ballpark was built in 45, 46. I don't know.
But who approached who?
I don't remember that.
We went out with Eileen, remember the first time we went out with Eileen and Bill and
Bill
Joe
Reardon.
Lay.
Oh, Joe Lay.
Joe Lay.
Oh, this goes back a long way. This goes back before Bill Reardon.
So what year was that you would have?
Pardon?
What year was
I
that
would
you
say
would have met?
48 or something like that.
Oh, no, it was before that.
No, I don't think so.
45, 46,
What year did you get married?
50?
50.
50 years ago.
And it was
51.
probably 47 or 48, somewhere around there. God, that's a long way, long time ago to try to remember. Or your father used to drive the bus for the ponies. And I used to go down there because Eileen was, Joe Lay played for the ponies then. Yeah, Eileen was going with Joe Lay. Isn't that enough? I want to get done.
I've got 4 minutes left here.
Right?
I got 4 minutes of tape left.
4 minutes.
Now your family lived on Highway 15 too, didn't they? Your father
Oh,
and
my father?
Yeah.
Yeah, my father and mother did. Not me. My father and mother and sister lived out in Sealy's Bay. And he was remodeling a farmhouse out there. And my sister went to that little Sealy's Bay one-room schoolhouse. But I was
Where were
living
you?
in Kingston. I was living at my aunt's, at Toddy and Tommy Boyd's, going to KC.
and did you finish KC or what grades?
No,
What
I
grade?
quit grade. I quit KC and went to work. Everybody was quitting school and going to work. It was during the war. And
What grade did you get up to?
10.
Hmm.
10, 9 and a half. I didn't finish grade 10. Who was that?
Justin.
Wendy,
I'll come and get him when I leave.
where's Jordy?
He's out with Rhonda. Oh,
You should see the size of the tape. It's the size of a...
it's a 16.
Candy, anything else you can think of? That you want to know?
I can't think of anything else. I have 9 grandchildren. 5 girls and 4 boys. That's about it.
You've been married 50 years?
Yeah.
What
But
made you stay together so long?
I have no idea.
Or bear for punishment.
And I think that should just about cover it. I want to get my hair done.